Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. Jennifer stood in her sister's room in front of the full-length mirror. She looked at her body with disgust and disdain. She hated her body so much. She didn't like that it was skinny, that she had boy hips, and that her chest was flat. Jennifer's clothes for the day were carefully laid out on her sister's bed. She quickly put on the pants she had chosen, and she felt better right away. She felt more feminine because of the silky material, and she could no longer see the boy. She took the matching bra from the bed and hooked it up behind her back with her practiced fingers. Jennifer sat on the edge of the bed and carefully put on a pair of nylons that were the same color as her skin. One of her favorite things about being a girl was doing this. She liked how it looked and felt on her legs. It felt like putting on another skin. The clothes boys wore didn't even come close. After putting on her nylons, she quickly put on her skirt and top and then put on a pair of flat shoes. After getting dressed, she sat down at the vanity and put on some makeup. Not much, just a little bit of lipstick, blush, and mascara. She brushed her hair, which was long for a boy but short for a girl, into a more girly style and sprayed Rosemary's perfume on herself. A pair of earrings with clips and a simple necklace finished off the look. She wasn't proud or vain, but she was always surprised by how pretty she could be. She looked at her reflection from many different angles and said she was happy with what she saw. Yes, her hair was a little short, but she thought it made her look more European, even chic. When Jennifer smiled, the young woman in the mirror smiled back. She makes herself a sandwich and a cup of tea downstairs and then curls up on the couch to watch TV. As usual, there was nothing interesting on TV, but she spent a nice half hour watching a show about making people look better. It was nice for her to just be herself, to be sitting there wearing a skirt and not caring about anything. It was nice to just exist. She could only find peace inside by being true to herself. She tried on dresses, skirts, and other clothes for the rest of the afternoon in her sister's room. Some looks worked better than others for her, but that was just how things were. At 4:30, she reluctantly took off the denim skirt and t-shirt she was wearing and put everything away. She took a quick shower and put on her boy clothes. She felt the dull, dark cloud of depression settle on her young shoulders again right away. She was reading a book in her own bed when she heard the front door open and shut. That's her mom coming home from work. She called David up the stairs. God, she hated that name. "Are you up there? Here I am, Mom." She got back to him. "I'll be down shortly." So she got out of bed reluctantly and went downstairs to see her mother. She hated putting on boy clothes. Inside, she felt so stupid, clumsy, and wrong. Jennifer prayed to God that night to make her a girl. Then she went to bed and cried until she fell asleep. Anne was concerned about David. Even though her son had always been quiet, he seems to have become much more shy lately. She could tell he was upset, but whenever she asked him about it, he said he was fine. At least to Anne, it was clear that he wasn't who he said he was. If he would just talk to her, she would hear him. He could say anything to her. She wondered if it was because David didn't have a father figure. He left soon after David was born. Since she, Rosemary, and David were the only men in the house, it didn't feel like a man's place. She might have done better to marry again. But because she had a job and 2 kids to take care of, she'd never had time to get serious about another person. She had gone on dates, but they never went anywhere. Also, most men were afraid to get serious with a woman who already had 2 children. She asked Rosemary if she had seen anything after he went to bed. Most likely, she is just growing up. You already know how teenagers act, I guess. Do you think he'd answer if you asked? Even though I'm his sister, he won't tell me anything. But you were so close before. I know my mother, but I'm a grown-up now. We have different interests. We've stopped having anything in common. I do, honey. But at least could you try? It might not hurt, and he might tell you more about himself. Rosemary gave a sigh. Okay, I will ask him. I'll leave work early tomorrow because I'm owed a half day, and then I'll talk to him. If you're not around, maybe he'll talk to me. Thank you, sweetheart. She got up and kissed her on the head, amazed at how grown up she was. She had a job over the summer break and was already acting like an adult. Rosemary was also worried about David, but she didn't say so. She kept quiet because she didn't want to worry her mother any more than she already was. Rosemary was bothered by something else. Someone had looked through her stuff. Someone had moved the clothes in her closet, and she was almost sure that someone had used her makeup. She didn't think it was her mom, so there was only one other option. She asked Mr. Gardner the next morning if she could take the afternoon off. Since it was Wednesday, the florist wasn't likely to be very busy, and he agreed right away. She spent the morning putting together a few bouquets to be sent out and answering some customer questions. It was 1 o'clock before she knew it. She said goodbye to Mr. Gardner, whose name is perfect for a florist, and went home. As she got closer to the house, she was thinking about how to play it best with David. Should she just ask him straight out what was wrong, or should she just wait and see what happens? First, try to get him to talk and then see what happens. She chose to go with her gut. Something in the back of her mind, a subconscious thought, made her quietly open and close the front door. The only sound in the house was the soft hum of music coming from upstairs. The kitchen and living room were empty. She threw her bag and coat across the chair and went up the stairs. As she got to the top of the stairs, she realized that the music wasn't coming from David's room, as she had thought, but from her own. Something in the back of her mind went click. She gently opened the door. There was a pretty young girl in the middle of the room. She was dancing with her eyes closed and her body moving to the music. She had on a tartan kilt skirt and a soft black sweater with a polo neck. It was her brother David, of course, but he wasn't the one. It was indeed a girl. She was tall, elegant, calm, and very pretty. Rosemary got a little bit angry. The girl in the middle of the room, who was actually her brother, then opened her eyes. The CD track stopped, and Jennifer and Rosemary just looked at each other in silence. It seemed like an age had passed between them. Rosemary spoke up at last. "Who is David? Who's that?" Jennifer stared at her sister in wonder. The situation was almost funny to her because it was so strange. "In fact," she said, "I go by the name Jennifer." Rosemary was next to stare. Jennifer went on, "I'm sorry I took your clothes. It's just that I don't have any." Rosemary didn't say anything for a moment. Then she cried out, "Oh my God, you are so beautiful." Jennifer turned red. She said, "Thank you." "When did you start doing this?" "Many years. I've always thought of myself as a girl, way down, on the inside, where the real stuff is." Rosemary went over to Jennifer and took her by the hand. She told him to sit down and showed him the bed. "Sit down and tell me all about it." Later, Rosemary and Jennifer were drinking tea at the kitchen table. Jennifer was wearing jeans and a t-shirt instead of her sister's clothes. She looked like a boy again when she took off her makeup and clothes. Rosemary had a hard time putting the two pictures of the same person she had known for most of her life together. "What should we do about Mom?" Jennifer questioned. Rosemary said, "I think we should tell her," as she sipped her tea. "Will it be too much for her?" "Better than you might think. She thinks about you a lot. I took a half day off work because of this. Since we used to be close, she thought you might talk to me." She stopped and felt ashamed. "I feel like I should say sorry for that. We were very close when we were young. But when I turned into a teenager, I didn't think we had anything in common anymore. You were a boy while I was becoming a girl. I didn't think you would be interested in the same things I was. You realize, fashion and similar things." She smiled. "I couldn't have made a bigger mistake." When she said that, both of them laughed out loud. They were laughing so hard that they were crying. After everyone had stopped laughing, Jennifer asked, "How are we going to tell Mom?" Rosemary gave it some thought. She said, "Come on, grab your jacket. We're leaving. Where do we want to go?" Jennifer was happy to hear what she said. "We're going to the store." "Okay," Rosemary said as they walked into the shop. "Do you think my clothes fit you?" Jennifer gave a nod. "That's great. That means that you and I are the same size. It will help you choose the right outfit. Now let's get started. Get some pants for you. You can't always put on my clothes." Jennifer looked around in shame and said, "Shh, "You might be heard." They went to the section with underwear. Jennifer's heart was pounding so fast that it hurt. She looked at all the bras, pants, and nylons in the store. She was finally going to get some that were just hers and that no one else had worn. Rosemary, on the other hand, was all about work. "Before Mom gets here, we need to get you home and changed. Some other time, we can go shopping for fun." It didn't matter to Jennifer what Rosemary had to say. This made her happy. Being there with her sister was enough. Choosing clothing for her. "Thank you very much. This was very enjoyable." Rosemary and Jennifer stood in front of the full-length mirror in Rosemary's room. Both of them were wearing black dresses that looked the same. Jennifer's dress didn't have sleeves and ended just above her knee. It looked good on her boyish hips. She put on a little bit of makeup and wore court shoes with 1-inch heels. All of the clothes she wore were brand new. Rosemary paid for it, and Jennifer said she would give her the money back. Rosemary's dress looked a lot like Jennifer's, but it had long sleeves instead of short ones. Rosemary was also curvier, and the dress seemed to stick better. She almost wished she were as thin as Jennifer. On the other hand, Jennifer almost wished she had Rosemary's hips. So went life. They both smiled at each other's reflections and said they were happy with how they looked. But a few seconds later, when she heard the front door slam shut, Jennifer turned pale. Mother was there. Anne had to sit down with Rosemary. When her daughter told her what happened, she couldn't believe it. "Holy, David is in trouble. Jennifer is her name. Mom, she really is a girl. She was just given the wrong body when she was born." Anne tried to understand it, but it was hard. She was, of course, shocked. But if what her daughter told her was true, it was something she would have to deal with. It would be better for her son to be happy and content like Jennifer than sad and unhappy like David. She thought, "Christ, is this my fault for not getting married again?" She looked like she knew what she was thinking. "Mom, it's not your fault. It's just how things are. Some people get the wrong bodies at birth. Their minds and hearts tell them one thing, but their bodies tell them something else. I can't even begin to think about how hard and sad that must be. Why don't I just call her down and let you meet her?" Anne gave a nod. When Jennifer walked into the kitchen, Anne let out a gasp. She couldn't believe that this gorgeous girl was her son, David. In her black dress, she looked so stylish and classy. She looked like she was so at ease. It was like she was made for this, which she had been in a way. "Hey, Mom." "Hi," Anne said, and then she began to cry. Jennifer ran over to her mother and said, "Mom, don't be sad." She gave her mother a hug. "It's fine. Still, it's me." Her mother told her, "You are so beautiful. I no longer have a son, but I now have a daughter." The three women hugged, held on to, and cried with each other. It took a while before they finally let go. Jennifer climbed into bed later that night. One of Rosemary's nightgowns was given to her. Even though it was just a flannel shirt, it was comfortable. She had trouble falling asleep because her mind kept going over what had happened that day. There was something strange going on in her heart. It was optimism. They had talked until very late at night. Jennifer had said everything to her mother. About how she always thought of herself as a girl. About how she would sneak into Rosemary's room to try on her clothes. About how she didn't fit in at school with the boys. They cried some more, and then they hugged each other. Since Saturday was coming up, Jennifer and her mother were going shopping. Rosemary said she would go through her closet and give Jennifer any clothes she didn't want. She said that it was cool to have a sister. She would also teach Jennifer everything she needed to know about being a girl. She didn't need to because Jennifer already looked so beautiful and put together. After a while, Jennifer went to sleep and didn't have any dreams. Rosemary had less trouble falling asleep. She hadn't let any of it bother her. Having a sister was going to be so cool. Someone to talk about makeup with. Someone you can trust. Someone with whom to trade clothes. In fact, she was a good sister. She smiled as she drifted off to sleep. Anne also had trouble going to sleep. She could see that Jennifer was happy, but she was still worried. She was worried about what people would say. She was afraid that if people found out, Jennifer might be hurt. She missed her son a lot. her baby boy, whom she had raised and cared for his whole life. She used to call him her little man. Her little man was gone, and she was very sad about it. She cried again. Small, silent tears ran down her cheeks and glistened briefly on her pillow before soaking into the fabric. She cried herself to sleep. But in the end, it was all worth it. Her little man was gone, but her little girl is home. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.